Hey, so our next speaker, I'm so excited for you to hear from this woman. She is just a rock star, and she's been through a lot in the last few years, guys. And I will tell you guys, like the last couple of years it's been hard, kind of a hard run for a lot of you, a lot of us, a lot of people out there, and so I understand that, like, sometimes it's, when things are all over the place and things are happening in your personal life, it's hard to put your head down and go to work. It's hard to do the things when you really don't feel like doing it. But I'll tell you, that's where the magic is. And this is one woman that is showing up like no other right now. And she is out in Minnesota. She is a Platinum 3 Elite 1. Okay, let me just tell you what that means, okay? P3 is over 9,000 in personal sales in her customer pod, which means she makes 36% of that. Do the math. That's without recruiting, without building a team. That's about $3,000 a month without recruiting or team building. Elite 1 that means she's crushing it on both sides of the comp plan. That means her team is doing over $100,000 in sales on a monthly basis. How freaking awesome is that? So, it's like two engines on the plane. We have a dual-sided comp plan, which is literally, guys, there's not a company on the entire planet that has what we have. If there was, we'd be there, okay? John and I would be there. If there was a better company, Margie would be there. That's why we're here, okay? And am I saying it's always perfect? No, nothing's perfect, okay? So let me just tell you, with this dual-sided comp plan, I love the fact that the average person can come in and get above average results without even recruiting or building a team. That is badass, okay? So, Sonja, you're amazing, sister. I can't wait for these guys to hear your story. Are you out there?
I'm here. Thank you so much for all those kind words, Michelle. I'm super pumped to be here. I've been a host a bunch of times in the last year and a half, but this is the first time I've been on as a participant in probably like 2 years. So I'm super pumped to be here.
Well, that is ridiculous. We are so happy to have you here. And you always, the reason why we always make you a hostess is because you're like the hostess with the mostest and you crush it. So now you get to be on the other side and I get to interview you. So let's start, girl, with the Cliff Notes version of your story, what you used to do, what you do, how you got here, what you're excited about.
Absolutely. So I am from the very interesting state of Minnesota. I'm not from here. I didn't grow up here, but that's where I live. Actually, Michelle, I lived in Highlands Ranch, Colorado for a number of years, and I say it is my forever home. Yeah, I still have a Denver phone number, so it's my forever home. So I have my lifeline back to Colorado. But I live here with the love of my life, Wes, and our fur baby, Ruby, and have a background in nutrition. So first and foremost, I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and certified diabetes educator. As I say, that's what I paid the big bucks to go to school for. And all that really means in this profession is I'm the ultimate skeptic when it comes to products. Anybody that's ever partnered with me knows that there's a laundry list of things that have to get checked before I even entertain looking at the rest of the company. So I found the great profession of network marketing after going from job to job to job, looking for this perfect scenario that I came to found really didn't exist. And so I found network marketing 16 years ago, and the business found me. I went looking for the products. I was looking for some products that, like most people, would help me achieve my goals, and partnered with my first company for the product discount. And I ended up staying there 9 years because shortly into that journey, I realized that people were making money sharing the products that were changing my health. And as a dietitian, it was like, how can I not give back to people the things that are changing my life? And a lot of people would come to me as a resource and say, what is it that you're doing? I want to do that too. So I was very much ignorance on fire. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is I could share a product and make money. And so I was with my first company for 9 years, ended up being a top earner there. Didn't think I would ever leave, but about 8.5 years into my journey, some major things happened. As you heard me say, it's always about the products first. Well, they changed the formulation of the products. They changed some other things behind the scenes that I could not control. And so I was forced to make a really difficult decision of, stay there and collect a paycheck. I was earning really good money, and it was hard to let go of that, but I knew my integrity needed to come first. And so with a very heavy heart, I made a decision to leave that company, and I got into some very uncharted territory for about 4 years, and I became a startup specialist. And it was a very, very rewarding, exciting, talk about an adrenaline rush for 4 years. But during that time, you were talking about being with 5 different companies. I've been with 7 in the last 16 years.
Wow.
The first one was for 9. So you can do the math from there. But I got into the startup space, and I launched multiple companies. And I will tell you, looking back, even though I made a lot of money, not one of those companies is standing today. And that includes my last company where I was the master distributor. So I got a really big sneak peek behind the curtain as to really what goes into making a successful run for everybody, or in this case, nobody, in network marketing, except for the top leaders, of course. And I learned really more in that company what I didn't want. And after that company shut down, I took a little look in the mirror and I said, Sonja, what are you doing with your life? Because yes, it's been an exciting run, but I was tired of dragging my team through the mud and making them start over yet again. I have the attitude of give me the keys to the car in any company, I'll drive it. But my heart has always been for my team and for the person that just wants to come here and make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. And so with a very heavy heart, I looked in the mirror and I said, you've got to make a decision as to whether you're going to continue to do this or you're going to go do something else with your life. Well, the other go do something else with my life involved getting a job, so wasn't really a fan of that. So I actually reached out to John Melton with a lot of emotion, and I said, this is what I've done. This is what I'm looking for. I want to know, am I crazy? Does this even exist? And he said to me, have you ever taken a look at Modere? And I kind of said, well, I've rolled my eyes a number of times at it, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And so he introduced me to Modere. It's been about 3.5 years now. I took a look at the videos, and I had to rewatch them because I said to myself, what do you mean people can share the product and make money? Dual-sided compensation.
Right.
And I didn't even think that existed. 16 years, well, it had been 13 at that time. And every company I'd been part of was always about recruiters, recruiting more recruiters, recruiting more recruiters. And while good recruiters are really good at recruiting, that's not the majority of people, at least when they're getting started. And so learning more about Modere and the comp plan, it was like, this is a no-brainer. Well, I should say this too, Michelle. I was actually a customer of somebody. I was a share the love customer, believe it or not, while I was still with my last company, and I fell in love with Liquid BioCell. Fell in love, to the point where I would shower in the stuff if it was possible. And so when it was time to make a pivot, yeah, right? When it was time to make a pivot, I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, how could I not do this? How could I hold back these amazing products from people that I know and a compensation plan that I truly believe a beginner and a top leader can win in? And so I arrived here at Modere 3.5 years ago, and it has been a very turbulent ride, not to do with Modere, but because of my personal life. And so, we're working on some things there, but I will tell you there is no better place to be than Modere because of all that it has to offer. The roots of a 30-plus-year-old company, I've kind of lost track of what that exact number is, but the momentum and the excitement of a startup. And that's why I landed here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It's crazy because, there's so much noise in our space right now. And, Sonja, I love hearing your perspective on, especially you said this is your 7th company. Is that what you said?
Number 7, magic number 7.
Oh, good. Well, that's my lucky number. My birthday's March 7th, so, so it's a really good number. But I love your perspective on that because, there's so much noise in our space right now. And, there's 3-4 new startups right now that are, everybody's talking about. And man, I'm like, oh, God bless their souls, the people that are going, because 9 out of 10 fail. And like you were saying, a lot of those aren't even around anymore. And, you can drop it like it's hot for a hot minute, but I would rather be somewhere. You're going to build or rebuild no matter where you go. And so for me, I'm just like, man, why not build with a 35-year-old multi-billion-dollar company? And we just brought on the most badass team ever. I mean, our COO was second in command at GNC, took them from bankruptcy to billions. I think we're in pretty damn good hands right now. So there's just some really exciting things happening. And so I would love, because, you're crushing it on both sides of the comp plan. So I would love, and I know, I don't know how much you want to share about kind of just things that have been happening in your life, because I really just want people to know that, no one's life is perfect, you guys. And, what you see on social media, comparison is the thief of joy, okay? And you never really know what someone's going through. And Sonja is one of those people that wears the biggest, beautiful smile on her face at all times, is just so inviting and welcoming and all the things. And, but doesn't mean that, you're not going to go through some tough stuff, personally, business-wise, whatever, And so there's that. But you've also continued to just show up and crush your business. So I would love to share what you would like to share, but also I would love for you to really take the gloves off, especially with this mid-month promo that we have launching next week, and obviously the new product that's coming in 6 weeks. What would you recommend people do?
Sure, absolutely. And, as people that know me really well know I'm an open book. I'm very transparent on social media with the things that I'm going through, because I truly believe that your life disasters that, we all get stuck in our stuff, whatever that is, whether it's physical or emotional or both. But that pot of disasters, that book of disasters, at some point will become somebody else's survival guide. So even if you're going through the stuff, it's like I tell my team all the time, people need to see that side of you too. We don't need to see the highlight reel that your life is perfect. So I've been very open about some of the things that I've gone through, and I'm happy to share those things. And one of the things that I'm working on is really getting good about not crying through these things, because boy, Michelle, have I cried a lake full of tears over the last 2.5 years.
Sure.
So back in February of 2022, I very suddenly lost my mom, and was actually asked to come into the room with my father and my sister. We had to make a decision to turn off a ventilator. So it was a very emotional time. And, for those of you that still have both of your parents, love the crap out of them, because you just don't know when that day comes that they will no longer be here. My mom was my best friend. She was the first person I called when I got into the car, and the first person I called anytime I had a promotion in my business or I had a bad day. It didn't matter. She was my best friend. And so I lost her in February of 2022. So for about 3 months, 4 months after that, 3 months I'd say, I completely almost checked out of my business. And in the sense of I was still plugged in and I knew what was going on, but I took the pressure off myself of being 150% on social media all the time. I really focused on myself and my family. My dad, honestly, didn't even know how to pay bills. He had never done anything by himself in life, so he needed his daughters. I have a sister as well, and then my other half to really help him put the pieces back together again. So that was where I spent those next few months. And fortunately, through that time, because, and this is the key point I want to make for everyone that's listening, your business is not built on what you're doing today. What you're doing today prepares you for the season that's next. So because I had done such a good job through the years building relationships, talking to people about the products and the business opportunity, I still had some really great people joining me even when I was at rock bottom. And so because of that, I realized that I needed to keep going, and they were my reason to keep going. And so very quickly after losing my mom, we hit a lead as a team. And it was a very up and down time. I was still very emotional over losing my mom, but my dad and I grew very close and bonded, and he was sitting across the table from me. I'll never forget this. I was at his house helping him, That's the beauty of this business. You can work it from anywhere. I was at his house in Wisconsin working, and we hit Elite, and he was sitting right across the table from me when that last order went in. And it was the most emotional, beautiful moment ever. And we had, the opportunity to celebrate together. Yeah, it was really heartfelt. Well, fast forward some months, and my dad was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. And so that cancer was very resistant to every single treatment. My life became sitting on, because I was helping him triage this from afar, my life became sitting on one doctor appointment call after another with his physicians because he didn't understand what was going on. And since I have a medical background, I was there to, translate, if you will. And so I had to take that emotional baggage that I had and set it aside so that I could be that sounding board and that person for my dad. Well, fast forward through all of that stressful time, and he passed away a year later. So we're coming up on the year anniversary of his passing on the 30th of this month. So this summer has been very difficult for me because I'm walking through sort of the events of last summer. So I lost my dad last year. And then the third piece of this is something that I've personally been dealing with. And this is where I want to inspire hope in everyone that's dealing with any type of chronic illness or anything. This business has afforded me the ability to take care of myself. If I would have had a job, I would have been fired because I couldn't physically go work a job for 8+ hours a day and still be able to work on my healing. I was diagnosed with, I have Epstein-Barr, but I was diagnosed with pretty severe mold toxicity. We found black mold in our attic and some other places. You guys, mold is awful. Most people don't even know they have it until somebody gets sick. Well, I got really sick, and then all of the other things that I was going through, all of the emotional trauma, just really sort of pushed me off the cliff. And so for the last, little over a year, I've been really working on treatment and therapy to get myself on the other side of that, and I've come a long way, but I still have a long way to go. And I just will say, Michelle, that I'm so grateful for this business because every time things get hard, I look in the mirror and I say, yes, they're hard right now, but look at what you're going through, and the alternative would never have afforded you the freedoms to take care of your life. So that's a little cliff notes of kind of what I've been going through.
Gosh, Sonja, I just, been praying for you like crazy, and I just, think that, you are such an example and documentation of dig the well before you need the water. I think the reason why so many people get in such a terrible situation financially and, in total financial freakout mode is because when things are good, they don't think about building something on the side. But what if, stuff hits the fan, and, things in your life are brutal. I mean, I personally walked through probably the hardest, period of my life a couple years ago personally. And, I thank God every day that I have the team that we have here, the income that I have here, the business model that we have here, and just from the top down, what we've got here. And you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I think sometimes we take for granted the opportunity that we have sitting right here in our lap, and an opportunity to create an unlimited income potential, to create the life that you truly want. And I'm just so glad and grateful that you were able to be there, through everything with your mom, with your dad. And I'm so glad that you, had such an amazing team of people around you here and a Modere family that could wrap their arms around you during that time, and that you could keep an income coming in while you're trying to get healthy and dealing with a mold situation and the loss of your parents. So, gosh, girl, I had chills 2 or 3 times when you were talking. So, what would be your best advice, for someone who is just getting started, or maybe they're hitting the reset button on their business, and maybe they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired? What would be your advice for them?
Well, I will tell you this, that over 16 years, I've hit the reset button many times. And in the past, that reset button has meant jumping to a different company. And John and I were actually swapping some messages yesterday. And I said, this whole hitting the reset button in not moving companies is a new thing for me. But what I will tell you is this, that there are seasons in this business. And when people join any company, just because you don't hit the jackpot your first month, your second month, your first year, as John always says, and I think you said earlier in this call, Michelle, what if you keep going, and what if all of a sudden you're making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month? I've earned all of those things at different points, but I've also had some epic failures. So my point is that, I mean, we have trainings everywhere you look about the skills of the how to do a TikTok, how to do this, how to do that. And all of that stuff is really important, but the most important skill anyone can embrace, in my personal opinion, is number one, establishing why you are doing this and getting so darn crystal clear so that when times get tough, like what I've experienced, where you have every reason under the sun to quit and throw in the towel, you have such a crystal clear vision for your future, for your family's future, that it is the one thing that keeps you going when things get tough. So it's what's between your ears, your mindset, your belief. And until you develop that belief, if you're brand new, you have to be able to plug into others who have gone before you, who have that belief that you are still trying hard to develop. And then the other piece of that, too, is really staying consistent with action. So even when times got tough, and I still have days today where I don't feel well, so I've gotten really good at looking at my schedule and, for example, my content creation. I batch create things. I take those days where I feel really good, and I make a whole bunch of content. And I'm okay with the next day if I need to rest, if I need to allow myself that rest time to take care of myself, because the person on the other end who's viewing my content or who's getting a message from me, they don't know if I'm on the couch or if I'm having my best day ever. But because, again, this goes back to preparation. What you do today sets you up for a successful tomorrow. So if you're not preparing and taking consistent action today, if you have a tough time in your life, things will fall apart. So being prepared, being consistent, looking at your schedule, really batch creating your things, looking at those chunks of time, whether you have tough times in your life or you have a full-time job, you have to be able to look at your schedule, get good at scheduling the things that are income producing for your business. And that is not just making content. It's reaching out to people. It's having conversations. It's following up. It's helping your team members do all of those things. And last but not least, keep it super simple. We are attracted by every possible tool under the sun. Automation, funnels, viral videos. It's like a firestorm of noise, but we just need to keep it simple and basic.
Oh, girlfriend, mic drop. I love what you're saying, because when I was going through hell personally, and I was like going through menopause at the same time, and just, trying to get my hormones right. And, I had gained 32 pounds. I mean, like, there was just a period looking back. And, I always say you can always connect the dots looking back, but never forward, and you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So sometimes when you're in it, like in the yuck, you're just like, God, what in the hell? Like, how can I get out of this? Like, what is going to change? And it's easy to go into victim mode, right? It's easy to be like, oh, poor me, woe is me, everything is happening to me. But honestly, it's happening for you. And there's going to be Sonja, I can just feel that in my heart and soul, there's going to be some magical things that come out of everything that you've gone through, because we only go through these things to be able to help other people. And I'll tell you, going through, figuring out hormone stuff and trying to lose 32 pounds and going through, dealing with, the father and kids addiction and things like that for so many years, I am able to help so many more people now. And now I'm in such a good space and place. And I look back and I can't even believe I was in that muck and that yuck for a while. But I love what you said about, batching your content. I mean, there were days I would wake up and I'd be Michelle Barnes and be on top of the world, ready to crush. And then the next day I'd wake up and I freaking hated everybody. I was like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to create content. I didn't want to do anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, who am I right now? This is not me, So, I love batching content, but if you don't schedule it, it won't happen. And one thing I've been doing for 28 years now is batch and schedule. Put chunks of time aside. You have to be intentional. And when you're intentional with building your business, you really can do it in an hour a day, a couple hours a day, fitting it into the cracks of your life if you're brand new and you're part-time. If you're really intentional with those income-producing activities, don't do the busy work, guys. And don't get caught up in all the BS out there. Love what Sonja said. Keep it simple. John Melton and I, we probably keep it more simple than probably 99% of people. We just ATM our face off. We start a lot of conversations, guys. All business is conversations. All business is conversations. So how many conversations are you starting a day? And you don't have to make a freaking science project out of it. Say hi. Say hello. Say how are you? I'm in hundreds of conversations every single day. Just conversations. Be a professional friend maker. Make some friends. And I guarantee you guys, when you take a sincere interest in other people, they will eventually open the door for you to walk right through. They're going to want to lose a few pounds. They're going to want some energy. They're going to want to try this new product. They're going to want to get rid of some wrinkles and some aches and pains. They're going to want to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. Some people are struggling so bad right now, they're on their knees praying for the opportunity that we have. And you have a message in your mouth, and your mouth isn't open, and you're not sharing it. And every day that goes by that you're not sharing these products or this opportunity with people, you're basically shutting down your business. You're putting a close sign on the window of your restaurant. What if you spent $500,000 to start this business? Would you shut the restaurant down? If you paid $500,000 to start it, would you just shut it down for 2 weeks at a time? But that's what some of y'all are doing. And the starting, stopping is exhausting. And I love what you said. What if you keep going? What if you keep going? So is there anything else you want to add, Sonja, before we go to our final speaker for the day?
Yeah, I want to leave everybody with hope, because I know we all go through, and Michelle just shared a very real example, and I've been there with the hormonal stuff. When you have mold, it makes your hormones go sideways. You legit feel like you are somebody else, like you are walking in a shell of your body. So these things that go on in your body are real. But you have to be stronger than what you're going through, and that's what I remind myself of every day. But it's very important that you surround yourself with people who will also remind you of that, because sometimes you need, not sometimes, all the time, you need people who are mentors, who are coaches, like-minded people, successful people in your circle, because you have to remember that just on the other side of any tragedy is a giant breakthrough. But more people quit during those downtimes, whether it's downtime in your business or something going sideways in your life. It's more appealing to go and start over and do something else. But wherever you go, there you are. So just because there's a new company doesn't mean that it's going to change your life because you join it. So you've got to stay focused on your future, why you're here, and always do something. Even if you're in a very downtime of your life, I learned a long time ago, show up and do at least one thing for your business every single day, 7 days a week, even on Sunday. Even if that one thing is just getting organized for the next week. But when you do those little things, I promise you that over time, your business will grow.
Oh, my gosh, girl. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm like jumping up and down over here. Oh, my gosh, girl. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the call. I know you have family. I know we went a little longer than we were going to with you, and we still have one speaker. So hang tight, guys. You want to hear Claudia's story. So, Carlos, Sonja, thank you for sharing. Sonja, enjoy your family today. And, guys,